Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Guruve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalahi Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Namaha Pankajnabhaya Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas. Thank you so much for joining. We are reading Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto A, Chapter 16, the Payo-vrata sacrifice, or the executing the process of Payavrata worship. So we're almost towards the end of this section. Her Grace Narayani Mataji explains such beautiful glories of Krishna Prasadam, the offering of remnants of Lord Vishnu to everyone without discrimination, to even Chandalas, we read in text 55. So that's the best thing. We can't distribute spiritual philosophical classes to them. They may not be interested to hear. But prasadam, everyone wants. Everyone likes sweets or some samosas or whatever, cookies, candies, and they can offer to Krishna and distribute without discrimination to one and all. Everyone, one must do it, especially for grihasthas, one must do it. At other place we have discussed, Prabhupada mentions distributing prasadam in this day and age is like distributing gold. So one must do it. And let's continue with the next verse, text number 57. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nrityavaditra Gitaischa Stutibhi Swasti Vachakai Karye Tat Kathabhischa Pujam Bhagavato Anvaham. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Every day from Pratipat to Trayodashi, one should continue the ceremony to the accompaniment of dancing, singing, the beating of a drum, the chanting of the prayers, and all the auspicious mantras, and recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow, this is very, very powerful. So, this is the last verse actually of the Payo-vrata sacrifice, or which explains the details of the Payo-vrata sacrifice. So, if we also want to execute any sacrifice, chanting, dancing, beating of drums, kirtan, cymbals, prayers, auspicious mantras, this is like a festival. And in all these ISKCON festivals, morning to evening, evening to night, you will see that in every festival. And Srila Prabhupada is so merciful that he has given all these items practically every day, not just 13 days of the year or of the life. Our whole Krishna consciousness movement begins with chanting and dancing, begins with chanting of auspicious mantras, prayers, Tulasi Arti, Sansara Dava, Lord Gauranga's Arti, and recitation of Bhagavatam every morning, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So this is a way to worship Lord, because we have discussed reading Bhagavatam and worshipping. Even during the worship of the Lord, the mantras are chanted. Without that, the worship is not complete. And the best of all mantras is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, Tat Katha Bihi, that means to recite the glories or katha of whom? That Supreme Lord. Like Prabhupada is elaborating here, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and others, Chaitanya Chaitamrita, etc., other similar literature, which glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From day 1 to day 13, from birth to death, that's a process. If one does these things, then life will be perfect. Okay, let's see. Text number 58. Anyone wants to read? Yes, Ramesh Prabhu, you want to?
Yes, Prabhu. Dandot pranam to everyone. Text number 58. Etat Payo-vratam nama purusha radhanam param pita mahe nabhi hitam mayate samuda ritham. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is the religious ritualistic ceremony known as the Payo-vrata, by which one may worship the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. I received this information from Brahma, my grandfather, and now I have described it to you in all details. So here the entire procedure has been explained by Kashyapa muni to Aditi, and this entire vrata information Kashyapa muni has been initially got from the Brahma, and the same process explained to the Aditi how this ceremony has to be performed and how to really worship the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. I really like this point here. Now, Kashyap Muni is kind of concluding this process of Payavrata. The beginning, he started with text number 24. And what did he say there? I heard this knowledge from Brahma. Now he's ending. What is he telling here? I heard this knowledge, I received this information from Brahma, or my spiritual master, or my guru. So that's the duty of a disciple. From beginning to end, he's always repeating the words of the spiritual master. He is not, and always basically in the beginning and the end, he's so conscious, he's so remembering his Guru Parampara and just repeating. He said that in the beginning, he said that at the end. In short, nothing is mine. I am just repeating like a parrot, as it is. It's a very, very important quality. Why is it saying this twice? Correct? One can question that because he said the same thing in text number 24, that I received this knowledge from Brahma. Why? Because it's important. It's important to quote Guru Parampara. It's that I'm not sharing any concocted knowledge here. I'm sharing the remnants of Guru Parampara. Okay. Any other comments, additions? Let's read the next verse. We're almost towards the end. Text 59. Anyone? Kashish Mataji, want to try?
Krishna, can rip it out. Text number 59. Tam chanena mahabhage samyakachinena keshavam atmana shuddha bhavena niyatatma bhajavyam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O most fortunate lady, establishing your mind in a good spirit, execute this process of Payavrata and thus worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kesava, who is inexhaustible. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading. So the word Shuddha Bhavina is very, very important here. We should chant, we should remember Krishna, or do any activity of devotional service with a pure state of mind, with a happy state of mind, in good spirits. You're establishing your mind in good spirits, not having any vengeance, any criticism, fault finding, etc., or thinking about something else while trying to offer articles to the deities or while cooking for the deities. I know, I mean, I'm just speaking for myself because it's easier said than done, but ultimately with Shuddha Bhava, because Krishna sees the intentions, the purity of our mind, the state of our mind. We are where our mind is. If we are offering articles to the deities, but in heart thinking of something else, then it will have a very minimal effect. It will have some effect, at least externals, we are showing something. But when we are doing it with our heart, then that will please really Krishna much more. So, Shuddha Bhavina, we should try to do this vrata. We also have taken a vow to chant regularly, to follow the regulative principles, to follow certain rules and regulations. That will certainly please the Lord. Niyat Atma, controlling oneself. That's also very, very important. That we need to be sense controlled. Mind will try to run. We need to try to control our mind and senses. Then only we can be situated in Shuddha Bhava. If the mind says, hey, I want something, and we just say, okay, mind, you want this, then we will not be in Shuddha Bhava. Because the nature of the mind is to go down. It will not try to, by default, take us up. It will try to take us to wrong propensities, at least in a conditioned life like mine. If someone is in a pure state, then their mind is their best friend. Then it will take them up only. But in conditioned state, the mind is the worst enemy. And the worst enemy doesn't take us to the right direction. So we have to control our mind and senses. Okay, text 60. Yes, Moksha Mataji, you want to read?
Hare Krishna, all devotees, Tanvat Pranam. Text 60. Ayam ve sarva-gyakya sarva-vrata-mati smritam tapasarmidam brade danam cheksharat pranam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This Payo-vrata is known as sarva-yajna. In other words, by performing this sacrifice, one can perform all other sacrifices automatically. It is also acknowledged to be the best of the ritualistic ceremonies. O gentle lady, it is the essence of all austerities, and it is a process of giving charity and pleasing the Supreme Controller. Purport: Aradhyanam Sarvesham Vishnor Aradhyam Param. This statement made by Lord Shiva to Parvati. Worshipping Lord Vishnu is the supreme process of worship, and how Lord Vishnu is worshipped in the Payavrata ceremony has now been fully described. The ultimate goal of life is to please Lord Vishnu by varnasrama dharma. The Vedic principle of four varnas and the four ashramas are meant for the worship of Vishnu. The Krishna consciousness movement is also Vishnu Aradhyam, or the worship of Lord Vishnu according to the age. The Payavrata method of Vishnu Aradhyam was enunciated long ago by Kashyapa Muni and his wife Aditi in the heavenly planets, and the same process is bona fide on earth even now. Especially for this age of Kali, the process is accepted by Krishna conscious movement is to open hundreds and thousands of Vishnu temples, the temples of Radha Krishna, Jagannath, Balram, Sita Rama, uh, Gaur Nitai, and so on, performing prescribed worship in such temples of Vishnu, and thus worshipping the Lord, uh, uh, 1 minute, is good for performing the Payavrata ceremony recommended here. The Payavrata ceremony is performed from the first to the 13th day of the bright forenight of the moon, but in our Krishna conscious movement, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in every temple according to the schedule of 24 hours of engagement of performing kirtana, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, offering palatable food to Lord Vishnu, and distributing this food to Vaishnavas and others. These are authorized activities, and if the members of Krishna conscious movement stick to these principles, they will achieve the same result one gains by observing the Payavrata ceremony. Thus, the essence of all auspicious activities, such as performing yajna, giving in charity, observing vratas, and undergoing austerities, is included in Krishna conscious movement. The members of this movement should immediately and sincerely follow these processes already recommended. Of course, sacrifice is meant to please Lord Vishnu. Yajnahi sankirtana praptir yajyanti hi sumedha saha. In Kali Yoga, those who are intelligent perform the Sankirtana Yajna. One should follow this process consciously. So here, what I got in my small mind is that Srila Prabhupada is telling us that we must not run behind worshipping the demigods or something like that. We must only worship Lord Vishnu, and we must try to satisfy him, because by satisfying him, by satisfying him and by performing the Sankirtana Yajna, we will in these things are all in one package, so we'll be able to achieve all the other things that we will achieve by doing different austerities. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading this verse. Prabhupada is encouraging all of us, the members of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that we have to focus on the core principles. And what are the core principles? Chanting the holy names, distributing Krishna Prasad, serving the temple, serving the deities. Open hundreds of temples, Prabhupada is saying. Especially for this age, people, the process accepted by Krishna consciousness is to open hundreds and thousands of Vishnu temples. And Prabhupada showed by his own example, not only in India, where people are still familiar with Vishnu, Krishna, Ram, etc., but even in the Western countries where people had no clue. I mean, just think about it. It's not easy to open as a mini center, what to speak of temples. But Prabhupada showed by his own example that how he opened not one, not two, more than 100, I think 108 temples all over the world. And now it's still growing and growing. Now ISKCON has close to 1,000 temples and centers all across the world. And it's growing. Every couple of months there is a new temple coming up, which is good. So we all should take this as our life and soul. And temple will come when devotees are there, correct? Because if devotees are not there, then what's it? Then temple is just a place of brick and walls. So And how will devotees come? When we share the holy name, when we share the prasadam, when we share the books, and spread Krishna consciousness. Those who are intelligent perform Sankirtan Yajna. Prabhupada is saying in the last one should follow this process conscientiously. So what does that mean? That means very, very thoroughly. So in a regulated way, in a responsible way. That's the dictionary meaning. So we must take the responsibility to practice it ourselves sincerely. And that's what Prabhupada is mentioning. I'll just highlight it for everyone. The members of this movement, who all consider yourself to be the member of this movement, raise your hand. Those are still thinking. Okay, I think all of us should consider ourselves as a member of this movement. So Prabhupada is basically telling us, should immediately and sincerely follow the processes already recommended. And what are those processes? Chanting, reading, hearing, distributing prasadam, serving the temple, charity, etc. So, and follow this process conscientiously. That means in a very responsible way and in a very mature way. Then we will get all the benefits. Then this is sarva-yajna. We don't need to worry about other yajnas and other tapa and other this. This Krishna consciousness process will give us the fruit of all kinds of ritual, all kinds of sacrifices. Sarva-yajna means all kinds of ritual sacrifice. That means we don't have to worry about any this yajna and that yajna. And because if one is following what Prabhupada is giving here very, very clearly and correctly and in a very unequivocal way, then one will get everything. In other words, by performing this sacrifice, now we can, in Prabhupada's purport, we learn this sacrifice means this process of Krishna consciousness. One can perform all other sacrifices automatically. It's a very important point to understand. Same way we say that if the food is put in the stomach, then we don't need to feed the fingers separately, the toes separately, the eyes separately. Similarly, we don't need to do demigod worship separately. If one is sincerely serving Krishna and his devotees, there is no need. That doesn't mean we don't respect them. There is no need. Because there are 33 crore demigods and demigoddesses. So, very, very clearly, and also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as well, multiple times. Because this is the best of everything. If one has the best of everything, then why will one go to other things which are less than best? Any other comments, any additions in this text? Okay, 61. Would someone like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Sure. And then Mataji can read the next one.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Text 61. Ta eva niyamaha sakshat, ta eva chayamuttamaha, tapodanam vratam yagno, yena tushyati adhokshajaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is the best process for pleasing the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Adhokshaja. It is the best of all regulative principles, the best austerity, the best process of giving charity, and the best process of sacrifice. Purport. The Supreme Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Sarva-dharman parittaya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhya moksaishwami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Unless one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his demand, no good result will come from any of his actions. Dharmaha swanusthitaha pumsam visvakshena katha suyaha notpadayat yadiratim srama eva hi kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 1.2.8. If one is not interested in satisfying Lord Vishnu, Vasudeva, all his so-called auspicious activities are fruitless. Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasaha. Because he is bewildered, he is baffled in his hopes, baffled in his activities, and baffled in his knowledge. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti remarks, Napumsakam anapum sakenati adhinaikatvam. One cannot equate the potent and the important. Among modern Mayavadis, it has become fashionable to say that whatever one does or whatever path one follows is all right, but these are all foolish statements. Where it is forcefully affirmed that this is the only method for success in life. Iswara tarpanam vina sarvam eva bhifalam. Unless Lord Vishnu is satisfied, all of one's pious activities, ritualistic ceremonies, and yagnas are simply for show and have no value. Unfortunately, foolish people do not know the secret of success. Na te vidhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. They do not know that real self-interest ends in pleasing Lord Vishnu. So here, in this beautiful purport and translation, Prabhupada is emphasizing how important is this Sankirtan Yagna and how Gauranga Mahaprabhu told, Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. So just you do not have to just keep, so that's what we see here. All Krishna's devotees, ISKCON devotees, how they are stretching themselves and preaching the Prabhupada's words, Lord Chaitanya Dev's all the what Chaitanya Dev teaches to the people and the Goswamis, and how they are interpreting those preaching to the people and making people more conscious, Krishna conscious. So that is here very beautifully explaining, and whatever devotees are doing, and they are doing to please Krishna. So like waking up in the morning at 4:30, doing japas, then all the activities regarding like thinking about Krishna, even in the occupational duties, whatever people are doing or devotees are doing, like what and the fruit and the whatever fruit they are giving to the feet of Lord, whatever they are giving and whatever they are saying. So that is more important. Like nothing we can keep that the devotees can keep inside them. You have to preach, you have to spread the words, you have to tell everyone about Krishna, about Krishna consciousness, about Prabhupada. So that way only we can please Krishna, and that is the message Prabhupada gave to all his disciples. That's what my understanding, Prabhuji. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So Krishna consciousness process is the best for pleasing the Lord. If one sincerely follows this, everything is in there. And very, very important statement by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur here. Some people say whatever one does or whatever path one follows, it's all right. It's as good as saying, oh, take any road, it will take you to the destination. Will every road take you to the destination? Only a fool will say that. So, will every path take you to the best goal of Krishna consciousness or back home, back to Godhead? No. If you pay the price of, let's say, if you board the train going from New Delhi to Chennai, then what's the destination? Chennai. If you board the train from New Delhi to Gujarat, then their destination is Gujarat. So a fool may think, oh, board any train, it will take you to the same destination. That's not correct. Every train goes to a different destination. So every path will not take us to the same destination. Any Tom, Dick, Harry will not take us to the same destination. So the path of Krishna consciousness given by a pure Acharya, coming from the disciplic succession through the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, will only take us to the right destination. Not any path, not any concocted method. And even in this path, the rules and regulations are very simple. But if we don't follow it sincerely, or if we continue to follow, oh, in our culture this is done, or in my uncle used to do this, or my family used to do this, so I will also continue to do this, then that means we have taken our own path. We have not followed the path which the acharyas are giving. Then will the destination be same? No, the destination will not be same. Very simple. So if we follow the path given by the GPS, Guru Parampara system, then we'll go to the destination. But if we make our own paths, or we follow, kind of combine the two paths, kind of like, okay, I'll follow my whatever, my maternal uncle, or he used to do this, she used to do this, and I'll follow some elements from here which I like. Then it's kind of a hodgepodge, correct? So we don't want to make hodgepodge or complicate our lives because time is short. So the more strictly we adhere to the path and the instructions, the better it will be, the smoother our journey will be. So the best path is Krishna consciousness. It is the best austerity, best process, best everything. What does adhokshaja mean? Who can share the meaning here? Adhokshaja. Anyone? Would someone like to unmute and speak?
Hey Krishna Prabhuji, it's the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is beyond our knowledge and senses, who is not perceived. We cannot understand him through our senses, seductions. And there's a wonderful verse also we have learned in last canto, and I liked it very much. It was Aho Bhagyam Nanda Gopa Adhokshajam Yat Mitram Paramanandam Purna Brahma Sanatanam, is in the praise of Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so apt. The first letter is A in Hindi and Gya, right? A and Gya. The one who cannot be perceived by all these letters, by all our senses, mind. He is unlimited. We are limited. Our mind and intelligence is limited. How can unlimited be understood by our limited mind or intelligence? So he's Adhokshaja. Okay, we come to the last verse of chapter 16, text 62. Yes, Mataji. Nandini Mataji, you want to share?
Yes, Dandavat Pranam devotees. Text 62. Tasmadita vratam bhadre prayata shraddhaya chara bhagwan paritushtaste varanashu vidasyati. Therefore, my dear gentle lady, follow this ritualistic vow, strictly observing the regulative principles. By this process, the Supreme Person will very soon be pleased with you and will satisfy all your desires. Sorry, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, translation and purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 16th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Executing the Payo-vrata process of worship. So he's concluding here, and still he's addressing her as Badre. His tone is still, Kashyap Muni's tone is still sweet. And it's a ritualistic vow, it says here, by strictly observing regulative principles. And here the very important word is, and then you will obviously be, you will very soon be pleased with you. The Krishna will be very soon be pleased with you. So very soon is Ashu. In general, Lord Shiva is known as Ashutosha. But here, Payavrata process, Kashyap Muni is granting this benediction that even with this process, Krishna can be easier, soon be pleased. And here it's saying that Shraddhaya, with faith. So do this process with faith. And we all know that the great Lord Nityananda also has a very famous song, Nadia Godrume song, in which he says, Shraddhavan Jane, Shraddhavana Jane. O people of faith, just chant Krishna, bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna Shiksha, worship Krishna and teach others about Krishna. So these two processes seem parallel to me. Just with faith, if we do anything with a little faith, the Krishna is so pleased with us. Just we do the regulative principles, but if we do with faith, there's an unlimited mercy of Lord waiting for us. Our prize is just to have a little faith, and it's so easy. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't take that much hard effort, and it's most pleasing to the Lord. And on top of it, Lord Nityananda made it even more easier for us, this Krishna consciousness process. And just following two regulative principles, we can achieve the love of God. Hare Krishna, back to you, Prabhu. Dandavats.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So nice. You explained. The Lord will be very, very easily pleased very, very soon. Paritushta, complete satisfied. How? By seeing the sincerity of a sadhaka, by seeing how sincerely one is following, by seeing the endeavor, Krishna will decide to be caught, or by the love of his devotee. Tvam bhakti damnasi maya niruddha. By the rope of love of a devotee is sincerity, determination. Oh, every day is getting up to chant. Oh, every day is offering arti to me. Oh, every day is offering bhoga. Will the Lord not be pleased? Certainly He'll be pleased if you offer with sincerity, love, devotion, faith. And then what will He do? Varan vidhasyati. Varan. Vara. He's Varadraj. He can bestow any benediction. So whatever your desire is, oh Aditi, your desires will be fulfilled. So it applies to anyone who practices the process of Krishna consciousness. Whatever their desires are, they will be fulfilled. And we know what kind of desires we should have. Spiritual desires. Anyone has any comments or questions around these verses? Any additions before we do a quick summary? Okay.
So Prabhuji, you saying that all the roots not goes to the same place. Krishna mentions that in Bhagavad Gita clearly, that those who worship the demigods go to the planets of demigod, and those who worship to me come to my supreme abode. In the 7.23, Anta Vatu Phalam Tesham. So it is clearly mentioned, but in the general tendency in India and everywhere, we have been always listening to this, no matter what demigod you worship, it will go to the Supreme. But that's not the truth, correct? By reading this, my understanding is that's not the truth. Until now, I have been also hearing from my families also, doesn't matter what you worship, ultimately goes to the Vishnu or ultimately goes to the Supreme. But by reading this, it is not the case. Am I right, Prabhuji?
Yes, to a great extent, yes. Yes. Krishna says, like, like I can hold my ear this way, okay? I can hold my ear like this. There's another way also to hold my ear. I can come all the way and keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Oh, I'm not able to reach. So how will I get to reach, from maybe back? Oh, no, it's not. Avidhi purvakam, Krishna says. Avidhi purvakam. So, 99% of the population who worship demigods, first of all, they don't worship in the sense the demigods are Krishna's part and parcel. They are Krishna's children. They are Krishna's devotee. It will ultimately, 99% don't do like that. Maybe 0.1%. So 99% are asking for what? Give me health, give me wealth, give me wife, give me son, give me daughter, give me home, give me car, give me job, give me this, give me that. That is their idea. So now the question will come again. There are so many demigods, so many demigoddesses whom to worship. So why do we take a very complex path in this age of Kali Yuga where the life is very short? Correct? Why do we take a very complex path which is not recommended by the Supreme Lord? So if someone is intelligent, if someone has that intelligence, well, if everything goes to the Supreme Lord, then won't an intelligent person question that, well, then why don't I worship him only? Correct? Then why do I take a path? Why don't I open the scriptures and see what he is recommending himself? If he recommends to take that path, then I'll take that path. But here, Krishna is clearly recommending that to take sarva-dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. He is not telling take shelter of Tom, Dick, and Harry, or this demigod or that demigod. I will take care of you. Whether you have one desire, no desire, all desire. Kama sarva kama va moksha kama udharati tivrena bhakti yogina yajate purusham param. In all situations, one must take shelter of me, the Supreme Lord is saying. So if someone is that intelligent, then the scriptures clearly tell. Then if someone is worshipping out of, let's say, innocence and ignorance, then Krishna will guide him. Then Krishna will, even Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even then their desires may get fulfilled, but who gives this Shakti to the demigod? It's me only. That also is there in Bhagavad Gita. So if someone is innocent and searching for the truth, then that person will be guided. But if someone, even after knowing, hearing everything, continues to do because someone told him some, past, etc., then it's like pashyamapi na pashyati, seeing, hearing, but still not following. Then it's very difficult.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's do a quick summary of this chapter. So this is a long chapter, 62 verses. It starts with Mata Aditi's lamentation. When Kashyap Muni came back after a long time, Mata Aditi, he could sense that Mata Aditi, his wife, the mother of the demigods, is not in a good mood. She is morose. And then Kashyap Muni asks multiple questions, primarily like 5-6 questions he asks, like, why are you upset, my dear wife? Oh Bhadre, please tell. Has anything inauspicious happened in the execution of the dharma or religious principles? Were you not able to execute your vargas? That means dharma, artha, kama, etc. Were any guests offended? We discuss in detail about guest reception, that atithi devo bhava. One should treat even the enemy. If enemy comes at the home, the enemy should forget that I have come to the home of enemy, and he should feel that I have come to the home of a friend. So that's a duty of all the grihasthas, especially guest reception, and we discussed that to the best of one's ability one should offer, whether it is simple straw mat and water, whether it is khichdi, whether it is chappan bhoga. Different people have different capacity, but one must do one's best. And then he continues to ask about the yagyas, etc., sacrifice, and finally he asks about the sons. Are your sons doing okay? And then finally Aditi responds to the first few questions that yes, the yagya and all are going fine. The vargas are also going fine. Yes, we are taking care of the fire, the guests, the servant, the beggars, everything is fine. But we are homeless. Me and my children are homeless. हम road पर आ गए. So from Indrapuri, we are on road now. That means we don't have a home. We have been kicked out of our home. By whom? By the powerful Daityas, headed by Bali Maharaj. So then she asks, please help. You are equal to everyone. Great souls are equal. Suhridam sarva bhutana. You are equal, but still, even Krishna is equal, so he is still partial to his devotees. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Correct? If you worship me, I'll reciprocate accordingly. So Krishna is impartially partial. So, oh my husband, you must also be impartially partial to your good sons. Your good sons are Daityas, or sorry, Adityas, the Devatas. That means my sons. And then asking, please save us from these demons who are kind of their the sons of the co-wife. Please bestow your mercy upon my sons, my. And Kashyap Muni starts, smiling. Look at the kind of the arrangement of Lord. That's this sneha bandham, the sneha pash is so strong. It just binds to me and mine. I, me, mine. It's very, very strong. And we discussed that in great detail. This illusory relationship, but in this time where whatever duration one of this bodily connection, one thinks that that's eternal and forgets the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. One thinks that my husband, my wife, my children, my everything here is eternal, and forgetting Krishna. But that's the eternal relationship. These are temporary relationships. Now, we are not, fanatics that forget about the temporary, take your family out. We're not saying all that stuff. We have to take care of that to help to be Krishna conscious. And then Kashyap Muni advises Mata Aditi to worship Lord Vishnu, who has 5 qualities, who knows everything, he's seated in everyone's heart. Bhakti is infallible, he's the Jagat Guru, he's Vasudev. In short, if you take shelter of Lord Krishna or Vasudev, you will be happy. Aditi asked, well, can you please guide me how I should worship Lord Vasudev? How I should follow this Payo-vrata? So Mata Aditi asks, I want to do this process. So we reflected upon the intelligence of Kashyap Muni also, that how he maturely handled, rather than saying, oh, foolish wife, why are you so attached to your children? He didn't say like that. He just addressed his good wife with a lot of respect and gradually uplifted her to be Krishna conscious. That's the goal. Not to demean her or not to criticize her. So he said, okay, I will explain to you the process. In text number 24, we were talking about it. What I have learned from Lord Brahma, my grandfather and my teacher, my guru, and who is the Guru Parampara starts after Krishna to Brahma. So, and then from 25 onwards, he gives the process of Payo-vrata sacrifice. So it's a 12-day period starting from the bright fortnight to the Dwadashi, that you must subsist only on milk. That's why it's called Payo-vrata. Payasam, Payo-sagar, Payo-nidhi. These words are come multiple times. And you must do unalloyed devotion. Worship Lord Vishnu, who is Acharit Arvindaksham. Arvind means lotus, Aksha means eyes, who is lotus-eyed. So you must start the vow by take a natural organic bath. Don't use soap or shampoo with cow products. Use mud, earthly. Now there's a store called Earth Origin. That's where it's coming from, right? So everything we should use as natural as possible, not with things which have animal products, etc. So he said to take the smear the dirt on the body, and you may have seen in India, still many people wash their hands with dirt, right? It may sound like a little ironical because we try to clean the dirt by washing with soap, but in India still people wash with dirt. Many places, many villages. So chant these prayers to Lord Varahadev, Boar incarnation, do daily worship, and then from 29 to 37 he mentions various mantras. So first we have to cleanse internally and externally and get ready and then chant. The text 29, which we tried to learn. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahiyase. What does it say? Sarva-bhuta Nivasaya. And what does it do? Vasudevaya Sakshini. So this is the first prayer, and then like that there are multiple prayers expressing the glories of the Supreme Lord, his expansions, his incarnations, Narnarayan Rishi, how he's Keshav, Pitavasaha, Markatashyama, his complexion, and Shreyase. The multiple verses are there in almost 8 verses. And then he talks about some other rules and regulations as well, that you must use various paraphernalia to welcome the deities, swagatam, swagatam, offer dhupa, deepa, garland, incense, etc., bathe the deity with milk, dress him, put ornaments, jewels, etc. And all these are done in ISKCON temples and at homes for deities. Again, to the best of one's ability, one must do. And keep chanting the mantra. Here he told the Dwadash Akshara mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But for us, Ekuna mantrasya tasya namani yani. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then offer Naivedyam, rice, milk, sweets, fruits, flowers. And then after offering, you must offer prasadam to the devotees, and then takes oneself, offer achman, punarachaman to the deities, offer prayers, chant the 108 times mantras, offer dandavat pranam, touch the how to handle the nirmalya. We discussed that also. The charnamrita, the flowers, etc. After they're offered to deities, how we should handle them with great respect, touch to our head, etc. And observe celibacy, and offer prasadam to the brahmanas. With their permission, take for oneself and one's family, and then keep repeating this again and again, over and over again. And then today we also read about reading Bhagavatam, chanting, dancing, feasting. This is Krishna consciousness. It's not dull and dry. There is so much fun, so much music, creativity, culture, dance, drama, all centered around Krishna. Mantras and charity, and distribute Krishna prasadam. And to the best of one's ability, don't be miserly in worshipping the deities. Very important point. Prepare oblations with very nice ghee and the best. And then we also discussed, Mother Narayani shared so many glories of prasadam. One must distribute prasadam, one must give some charity to the Vaishnavas, to the Brahmanas, etc. And every day, this is, or regularly, not just once in a blue moon. And Prabhupada mentions, then the last few verses talk about the glories of Payo-vrata. So that whoever does this will certainly achieve the favor of the Supreme Lord. Is the best process, best yagya, best dana, best tapa, best regulatory service, and ultimately the Lord will be very, very happy, and all one's desires will be fulfilled. That is Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Any comments, additions, questions? Anyone has?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Actually, this is also month of Falgun, right? And 8th of March was Dwadashi. And Prabhu, and then 2 days later is Shivratri. I really appreciate you summarizing. It was so well summarized. Like there's nothing to add, I feel. And thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. This is the
One comment I had is that it
yes.
feels like she was still staying, Aditi, despite being one of the demigoddess, she was still staying in the same ashrama, Kashyap Muni's ashrama, where he returned to. So even after being the the demigod's mom, she seems to live simply. If that is incorrect, please correct me. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a comment, Mataji. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm not 100% sure, so I'll not say it either way. Yeah. Any other comments, additions, questions, reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So it was mentioned in text number 60's purport that the Payo-vrata method of Vishnu Aradhanam was enunciated long, long ago by Kashyap Muni to his wife Aditi in the heavenly planets. And the same process is bona fide on earth even now. So they were living on some other planet. And in the current context, do still people follow this Payo-vrata?
Not sure about others, but we have to follow. What we have to follow is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said very, very clearly, we just read today in 60 some verse, that if one follows this thing in 60, I wrote it here. If the members of Krishna consciousness movement stick to these principles, they will achieve the same results one gains by observing the Payavrata ceremony, 60th purport. So we don't have to, now some things may not be practical. The mantra for different ages is different, right? We don't have to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra 108 times. There's nothing wrong, but we have to follow what this process our Acharya Sri Prabhupada has given. Now, we don't have to fast on milk for 12 days. It may not be feasible for majority of the population, right? But we have to restrain from certain things and take certain things. But most things are applicable, like deity worship, giving charity, taking remnants of the Supreme Lord, offering prasadam, and deity worship, temple, etc. So Prabhupada has given us in this, if we carefully read text 60th purport again, Prabhupada is clearly telling what we should do. Again, very simple. Association of devotees, books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, read there also. So 90% of the things are applicable, but we have to follow in the current context and current situation and make it relevant. Because let's say you ask someone, follow Payo-vrata. The first thing, 12 days fasting on milk. He'll say, sorry, you keep your process with yourself only, right? But if you say, okay, just take out some time and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that's the brilliance of Srila Prabhupada, that we don't have to give up our things. Wherever we are, we can follow this process and get the same benefit. Isn't that amazing? Thank you. I think you're on mute if you are saying something.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. So sorry, we're a little over time, but I thought we can conclude this chapter. It's very, very important chapter, a lot of details, because this is very, very practical. So dear Vaishnavas, again, this is just, a lot of things were just touched. We should be inquisitive to learn more. If someone is eager to learn, okay, how I should do charity, where I should do charity, ask your mentors, ask your, Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru. Someone is inquisitive, how do I properly offer bhoga to the Lord? We should ask. Don't feel that we'll be judged. Don't feel, oh, I should be knowing at this point. It's okay to be a student all time. Someone, oh, how should I worship deities? What mantra should I chant, etc., etc. How should I greet Vaishnavas? Things like that. So never feel, it's okay to ask. We tried to cover some points from Vaishnava etiquette manual, but there are still a lot of things which um, could be said about on these topics. So okay, so we will pause here. Thank you so much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha. Patitanam
Anam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Thank you so